grew up such a fan of sports memorabilia and sports cards, and I'm really excited that this show is both going to highlight that as well as the awesome entrepreneurs that make it all possible. Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into Talking Shop. Today, we have a legend of a guest and somebody who I am a very big fan of, Darren Rovell. Darren, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me. You were pretty persistent, so.
That's how you got to do it sometimes.
It's true. It's true.
I love, is this your office?
Yeah, it is my office. Yep.
How many hats do you have sitting on that
About
rack?
300. About 300. Wife is trying to get it down to 200.
Was it ever larger than that? And this is the
definitely. But you got to just have some like good ones. Some I got custom made because I needed certain logos on things, but the Colorado School of Mines. I mean, you just got to wear hat. My life is all about being different, so I got to prove it every day.
That's amazing.
I got to open up packs of Mork and Mindy from 1978 just so I could get the Robin Williams rookie.
The Robin Williams rookie. I've been recently buying some Canty Ante cards.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Way back in the day, so I definitely share that passion for it. Are you like me though with hats, where I will have a ton of hats, but I'll only wear 3 or 4?
No. I like people know when I show up on a company Zoom, they're gonna be like, let's see what I'll go dark, and then I'll come out and be like, all of a sudden I'll be like, boom, look what I'm wearing today. So it's kind of like a joke, like what am I wearing? And sometimes some of my hats are so random, like a 7-Up hat or something like that. So I like to mix it up.
That's amazing. So you're born and raised in Long Island. You went to Northwestern. The amount of things just reading through, the internet and biographies of you and whatnot, you have done so many different things. And the thing that I love the most about all of it is that you always followed your passion. You always did. It's very evident that you just do what the hell you want to do.
That's correct.
And that is the best part of all of it. I know you've anchored, a bunch of CNBC docs. You obviously worked for ESPN for a while, now at the Action Network on the betting side. What's been your favorite thing, along there? Or is it really just whatever you want to do at that time?
Yeah, I mean, it's like in the moment, I'll just give you an example. People think I'm a sports guy, but I really consider myself a business guy who happens to do sports most of the time. I'm not a sports guy who happens to do business. There's a big difference there. And when CNBC said, hey, we can, we'll give you a couple slots to do some primetime documentaries, I said, I want to do one on the business of franchises. I've always been, people are like, oh, it's a business in a box. And we as consumers, we're on the other side of the counter. We don't know really what goes on, like when someone buys a franchise. And I want to learn about it, and then I want to report on it. No one's done an hour on franchises. And so I did. And, I think a lot of the most important thing I try to tell my kids is just be curious and ask questions that just seem different, or things that, you might not know. So like my success with that documentary, which I was really so happy with, was when I went to the person at Dunkin' Donuts and said, why do so many Indians own Dunkin' Donuts? And she goes, well, that's stereotypical. I go, no. I looked up, there were 770 Patels in the Chicagoland area. Are you telling me they're not Indian? And she's like, okay. I'm like, I want you to look into and try to find out why this is the case. And turned out it was this great Johnny Appleseed type story where there was a guy named Amrit Patel, came over from India. He came over with his 5 family members. Once he got through Dunkin' Donuts and was doing well, he gave the franchise fee to those 5 people in cash. And it goes down and down and down and down and down. And you wonder why Americans who are native to the U.S. are not owning it. Well, it's because they're paying their franchise fees in credit and in debt. And this guy established that once you do well, you gift cash to the next person and pay off their franchise fee. And that's what created the tree.
Oh,
So
that's
like
so
those are the questions that you have to ask, and that's why I love journalism. That's why I'm in the business.
oh, that's so awesome.
Isn't that
Uh,
cool?
that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
That's so, just wholesome and awesome.
And by
Um,
the way, they don't have donuts in India, so it's kind of also interesting that donuts aren't part of. I'm sure you didn't expect this conversation to go this way, but I like to kind of switch it up a little
this is actually exactly how I
bit.
go. Obviously you've been a journalist and you've been doing this sort of work for a very long time, but when Twitter came around, was that your first social media platform, and did you
Yeah.
immediately know what you wanted to, use it
So
for?
I was among the first 5 journalists on Twitter.
Whoa.
In March of '09. Basically, the only athletes that were on when I was on it was Shaq and Lance Armstrong. And I didn't really get on Twitter to disseminate information. I didn't get on Twitter to say, hey, if you're not watching ESPN, there's another way you can reach me, or let me build my distribution, my list. It was because I'm always drowning, right? Like as a business reporter, you always have to know what is the secondary story, right? So like, what's the first story? And then I got to write the business of it. If I don't know what the first story is, I can't write the business of it, which means that I had been spending a lot of time in the morning, waking up at 6 a.m. saying, okay, where am I going to go next? What are people going to be interested in? What's the story of the day? And I found that if I followed the right people on Twitter, that would cut down on my time. So I wasn't even thinking about how this helped me. I was thinking about how it helped me just internally, not externally. And, as it grew, it just grew and grew. I remember I was fighting with one of the journalists at CNBC at the time, who would be the first to 5,000 followers. And, so then I just mixed it up and I don't think a normal person would follow a business reporter like that. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to do the business. I'm going to do the pop-up video type stuff where we're sitting on our couch and I know they have their computer on their lap and they're watching TV. I'm going to do that pop-up video, fascinating thing. What you could tell someone at the water cooler, hey, did you see Rovell? And I wanted to kind of create this, like, you're missing out if you don't follow me. And I think it worked.
Definitely. And like you said before, I think the reason that it worked is because you were doing the thing that was unique to your passion, which
Right. And I would also say that that's also important for when people come at you. If you are authentic to yourself and you are doing what you want and you are true to yourself, it doesn't matter what anyone says. And I think like that's also part of what has made me because yes, I'll block people if they're making me miserable, but like I'll have the debate, I'll tangle, I'll wake up every morning, I'll go, so
dance
like it's all good.
That's hilarious. But I think that is a very healthy approach. So besides sports reporting, obviously, you're a huge movie buff. If you had to recommend, to somebody who's never seen a movie before the year 2000, a couple of options, which are you throwing at them?
I'm going to throw out, I think, The Natural is my favorite sports movie. There's a lot up there, but The Natural is just such a good one. I
I've
think
never seen it. I gotta go watch.
yeah, that's 1984. Great book by Bernard Malamud, Robert Redford. Just an amazing story that's kind of loosely based on a baseball player. Love it. I bet you didn't see this one either. Defending Your Life with Meryl Streep and Albert Brooks. A great movie on basically like as if God recorded your life and you have to defend the decisions you've made over time. Love that movie. Inner Space with Martin Short. That's a good movie. See, I'm mentioning ones that you've never seen on purpose. Because I know you've seen kind of the classics. And then, my favorite movie of all time that I'll watch over and over and over again is
He's got a hat for it. Dun dun dun.
Coming to America.
That's one of my favorite movies too. I love Eddie Murphy so much.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorites. has some things. Still trying to get a Big Mick prop. It was once available.
Did you get that custom made, or was that
I
from
got this custom made. This is one of one. But then there's another company that does the hat that's on the people. Yo, it's called
Wow.
Dungeon. It's called Dungeon Forward. These guys, and on the side it says Home of the Big Mick. So I just in case you think my commitment is not big to this movie, we got 4 of them right here. So
very real.
Yes.
Do you collect movie props as well?
I've tried over the years. I've taken shots at them. Like I tried to get this past week the Home Alone iron that hit Marv. It went for $16,000. I was short on that.
You buy that as an investment, or would you buy that just as a personal item?
I don't buy anything as a personal. So like my collectible rules are anything that I buy must be sellable at what I buy it at for all time. Like, so when if I'm taking massive risks, I know that first of all, I'm a storyteller. So I create value by thinking that this is more important and then telling it that way.
We also have a lot of influence, so that helps.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but your bar mitzvah featured future Hall of Famer Jeff Bagwell.
Yes.
What's the story behind that?
So one of my brother's friends had Mickey Mantle. And I said to my dad, I'm like, Dad, we need a baseball player. And he's like, I'm not going to pay like $10,000 for a baseball player. I'm like, we're all good. Listen, I pride myself on scouting. I look at the minor leagues. I'll give you 3 players who I think are good, and let's see if we can get one of them. And one of them was Jeff Bagwell, who played the year before with the New Britain Red Sox, got traded for Larry Anderson, a famous, horrible trade in baseball history. And then he was playing with the Astros. My bar mitzvah was June 15th, 1991. The Astros were playing the Mets at night. My bar mitzvah was during the day. It was 16 miles away from Shea Stadium. And for $300, Jeff Bagwell signed 200 bats, 500 photos, not like amazing. And, I think a lot of people were very upset that it wasn't Dwight Gooden or Darryl Strawberry or David Cohn or Bobby Bonilla. But, Bonilla wasn't even with them. But it wasn't a Met. They're like, what the hell is this? I'm like, this guy's going to be good. And obviously it does something, great amounts of praise have been heaped at me for the fact that, he was basically like, what, a 3rd ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, Darryl Strawberry's not in the Hall of Fame. Dwight Gooden's not in the Hall of Fame. So I tell people, yeah, you probably threw that card out the next day, but it's worth money.
You got him at 50 cents an autograph.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. So obviously you're an avid collector of pretty much everything. What's your favorite thing to collect? Do you like cards, signed memorabilia, checks?
I mean, my check collection, I think, is unrivaled. Do you want me to break out some, or what are we talking about here?
That would be fantastic.
All right, let's break out some, break some stuff out here.
Always down to have things broken out.
What'd you say?
I said always down to have things broken out.
Yeah, of course. All right, ready? So the concept was this. I went to the National 4 or 5 years ago, and the guy said to me, here's 300 Bart Giamatti checks. I'm like, well, how much are they? He goes, they're $65 each. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that doesn't make sense because each check is a different story, right? So like if Bart Giamatti was as the commissioner of baseball paying for toilet services, there's another check that's paying for Pete Rose's investigation. That can't be. And I noticed that the entire check collecting industry was based on how good the signature was. And they were just collecting the check because they felt better about the authenticity of the autograph before getting it authenticated. Mm-hmm. A check, hey, I'm going to cut it from a check, right? So I said, how about I collect checks with stories? How about I research the shit out of something where the person might not even know what they're selling me. And so a lot of them have been kind of, so this is a check cut by Mel Allen, the famous voice of the Yankees, and This Week in Baseball. Okay, Melvin Allen, all right? And it's cut on September, sorry to make this a Jew thing, but it just happens to be. September 16th, 1958, he cut a $50 check to Congregation Beth Abraham of Detroit. 8,100, you see what it says? It says 7 Mile Road. So you got a little M&M in here, right? 8 Mile, 7 Mile. Okay, yeah. Detroit. Okay, in Detroit. And so I saw it up for auction, and I found out that it was the Yankees were playing the Tigers in a playoff game, and he went for the high holidays for services to this temple. So like that's something crazy. I have Lou Costello from Abbott and Costello. This is 1945. He is paying, it says, in full payment for a yearling colt. So he's buying a horse, which is a cool one. I have Joe Montana paying for his sophomore year apartment at Notre Dame.
No way.
How many times have you seen Joseph C. Montana?
That is the coolest.
That's cool, but that's not even a top 10. That's not even a top 10.
Oh my God, Darren.
We got Jack Ruby, who assassinated Lee Harvey Oswald. He's paying his phone bill.
Whoa.
See, sometimes you just got to switch it up.
I love how different each is from one another.
We got, what does that say?
I can't tell.
Denzel Washington.
Whoa.
Paying for his Lakers courtside seats. 74,000. Whatever that is.
Too shabby.
Okay. Lakers courtside seats, and then it has a good year. It's 1999, which is the opening of the Staples Center, which is the first year of the 3 run of Lakers titles. So, like all these are, I mean, there's, and you're right. It's all across the board. It's the guy Carol Spinney, who played Big Bird, getting paid by the Muppets.
Now, why'd you go after that one?
It's all, so there's a lot, there's just so many things in here. I got Warren Spahn paying his taxes.
That's cool.
Look at that beautiful W signature. Internal Revenue Service, 1964. So we got a lot of these things.
So what's your favorite?
Well, I mean, there's favorite signatures, right? Still love the signatures. So this is Ted Williams paying his life insurance policy.
What?
Again, a beautiful Theodore Williams that you wouldn't normally find. When these guys are signing checks, they, it's different than signing some other things. This is probably, in terms of timing, one of the craziest ones I have. It's Reggie Jackson paying for World Series tickets 3 days before he became Mr. October. So, again, it says World Series ticks in the memo. It even says 50% of these are for business. So we got that. We got as a thespian, someone who loves theater. I feel like I'm blowing your mind right now.
Yeah, you have no idea. Because I'm as into this stuff as you are.
Look at that one.
Marlon Brando. That's super
Marlon Brando getting paid for Guys and Dolls in 1955.
Are you getting all of these in auction or on eBay? Are you surfing
eBay, auction? Some people know, they see something and they're like, hey, that's a Rovell thing. If you want to get, what are you, a Mets Yankee fan? What's your?
I'm a Yankees fan, but I'm a bigger Knicks fan.
Well, I got the only check that surfaced of the Yankees paying John Elway.
Whoa.
He was drafted 6 picks before Tony Gwynn. And you got a nice Elway signature on the back. So this was his for single A. All right, now we'll get. Do you want to get to the good ones yet or no?
Yes, please. That would be fantastic. I thought those were the good ones.
I know. Well, kind of. All right, let's go. All right.
I think the only check I have, I recently got into collecting presidential autographs.
Yeah,
I have a Benjamin Harrison from the late 1800s.
that's pretty good.
Super
So
fun.
my presidential check that is a wow is JFK pay
He's a top five. Come on.
JFK paying for his Washington Post subscription a year before he became president.
That's pretty dang cool.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, right? All right, so let's give you this is probably my favorite check. Are you a Curb Your Enthusiasm fan?
I had Leon on the show recently.
Get out of here. Okay, ready?
The man.
All right, this is so messed up. So whose check is this?
Jay Leno.
Yes. Jay Leno is paying for comedy material his second year as a comic in 1978, $10 to Larry Charles.
Whoa.
You know who Larry Charles is?
The creator, no?
Larry Charles and Larry David is the main creator.
But Larry Charles was the writer?
Larry Charles was a co-writer with Larry David. They were, as I understand, they were roommates, like starving comedy writers during this time. So you'd be like, okay, why is that a great check? Well, because Larry David signed it.
Why did Larry David sign it?
Well, I mean, first of all, this is evidence of a federal offense, right? You can't walk into a bank and endorse a check that wasn't written to you and take the $10 out. I assume maybe, and I still haven't figured this out, I assume maybe Larry Charles owed Larry David, and Larry David was like, hey, my name's Larry, your name's Larry. I go to the bank and, we'll take the $10 and whatever. And JB Smooth going, yeah, I've done that, Larry. Yep.
Have you ever spoken to either of the Larrys about this?
I haven't. I have to get to them. And then this one is also like, as far as badassery, this is ridiculous. So this is Charles Solomon, who I don't expect anyone to know, but
I don't know who that is.
He controlled prohibition and gambling in Boston. He was basically Al Capone's. The Al Capone of Boston at the time of Prohibition.
Interesting.
So what makes this interesting is just the timing of this. He decides on October 28th, 1929, the day before the stock market crash. Now, realize that the banks did not have FDIC, so they didn't insure your money. So all these banks went out of business and everyone lost their money. Right, like you could not.
A crazy concept today.
Yeah, isn't that a concept? The FDIC, I think, came around in like 1939. Like, can you imagine you had money in a bank, and it was not necessarily yours if the bank went out of business? So anyway, this guy, on the day before the stock market crashes, gets $15,000 cash out of the bank because he knew something. This is the equivalent of taking $225,000 out of the bank today. Which is just, I mean, it's just a great little thing. So that's it. I do checks. I do tickets. I love tickets.
What's your favorite ticket that you have?
A couple. We got Jesse Owens becoming the fastest man in the world in front of Hitler. This is the highest graded 1936.
You've got a very big mark on the front to let us know.
I know. Yeah, highest graded. Yeah, 1936.
What's the grade on it?
It's an 8 from 1936.
Ooh.
And not bad. I do, from as far as modern goes.
I didn't even know they graded tickets on a 1 to 10 PSA.
They do. How about this? This is Christian Laettner's turnaround shot signed by Laettner.
That's cool.
So I think I feel good about tickets. And then I recently started in video games, graded video games.
Really? What's the logic behind that?
Well, no one ever thought they were collectibles, and especially, I know you're much younger than me, but Nintendo, who didn't open a box, right? Like there were plenty of us who didn't open boxes of 1989 Upper Deck, but like who didn't open a box of Tyson's Punch Out? Like Who didn't open a box? So a sealed Mike Tyson's Punch Out, graded 9, goes for about 65 grand now, because the population reports are so small. So,
but is the demand there? It is?
the demand is enough. I think there's still question as to whether the market will have liquidity, because there's something called complete in box, which is, if it's not sealed, it has to be complete in the box, have the cartridge, have the manual, have anything else that's there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's for average people. That's
Right.
for people who want to spend $400 to $600. The sealed is like really best in class, and I can't even afford some of the sealeds. Like, I decided my favorite game was NBA Jam.
Right.
So I was going to get the best existing NBA Jam in the world, which I have.
Sealed, unopened,
Sealed,
or
unopened. You want to see it?
sure, I'd love to.
All right.
One does not turn down an opportunity to see a
Well, because as a collector, this is what you.
Wow, that case is so epic, by the way.
So here's the thing. One of the key. Sometimes what you have to realize is, like, PSA, like, their cases are not better based on what you put in it, right? It's all the same.
Yeah.
But like, so this gets a special gold hologram because it's like the best of the best. WADA Games out of Denver. They make it, and I'm going to tilt they make it so that you could stand it up beautifully on a table. They understand that this is artwork. This is like a piece of art. And so there you see, it got a 9.8 out of 10. And then it got the seal. It's an A++ seal, which is essentially the best you can get. And it's all sealed. I love it.
It looks like those comic book holders.
What do you say?
Looks like the comic book seals.
Yeah. I would say my goal with my collection is to not have to sell anything at any point. I will be opportunist, but I don't like to push anything. I don't like to, I certainly don't like to push something, to say, hey, there's going to be a ticket that I put out tomorrow that I will say I have it, and it's the only existing ticket that's been found at this point. And I'll push that and say, hey, if you want it, I'm selling it.
You know what a great in-between would be? You got to open a museum and charge people to come look at your entire.
That would be good. I don't think I'm there yet in terms of like unbelievable things, but I do have.
Looks like you're getting there, man. If you had a giant wall of all of the checks,
yeah,
and description,
it's true. It's true. I mean, listen, I do have what I think to be the best Martin Luther King signature in the world.
No way. I've actually looked at those before on eBay. Wow, that's a beautiful one.
Martin Luther the King, right there.
King? I've never seen that.
On an airplane ticket, this guy was sitting next to him, United, and we got that. Martin Luther King.
It's in amazing condition. Do you want to get all of yours graded, or what's the thought?
That is not graded yet. And then I believe I have the best Jackie Robinson signature in the world. Look how clear that is right there.
It's really beautiful.
From 1952. It's dated. He played a game at Wrigley and then probably went to the post office himself to mail this to this girl. It's a government post.
What does it say?
Dear Susanna, I received your letter and I enjoyed knowing of the hobby you have, and I certainly hope you win the trophy. My very best wishes to you, Jackie Robinson.
Oh, everybody was so sweet back in the day.
I know. It's like
DMs like that.
So then another couple cool checks that I have here. So there's a million Babe Ruth checks floating around.
Yeah.
And someone said to me, hey, I got access to a lot of Babe Ruth checks. What do you want? I go, well, there's 3 things he's known for. So I got to get him either paying a prostitute, drinking too much, or eating too much. Those are the only three things I want. And I was able to get this one. It's a check for alcohol. He is buying $502 of alcohol in 1940, which is $11,000 today. Now, this shop still exists. I went there and asked them if they had any records of this, because I would love to know, as part of my storytelling, what he actually got. But
What they say?
alas, they didn't have it. And then
Were
I
you
have
blown away that you had it though?
yeah. Amelia Earhart, an iconic signature,
That's
but she is paying for nose surgery, which she needed to continue to fly. Dr. Joseph Goldstein out of New York.
Who's are you looking for? You seem like you've got most of the people you want.
Yeah, I got most of these. And then I just sometimes I just love this is you might enjoy this one. So this is Vince Lombardi paying Nick Bollettieri for a tennis lesson. Nick Bollettieri, so it's the greatest football coach of all time paying the greatest tennis coach of all time for a tennis lesson. Now, I did call up Nick Bollettieri and I said, "What is this?" He goes, "What year is it?" I go, "64." He goes, "Oh yeah, I was the tennis coach for the Rockefellers, and Vince Lombardi came to Puerto Rico, gave him a tennis lesson." And I'm like, "And you charged him $17.64?" You know, so it's amazing when you can reach out to people and find the stories. And obviously, given my access, you know, I can do that.
That's so great. So which check are you on the hunt for? If anybody listening to this, you know, might.
Well, I might not want to say, because then anyone listening might, you know.
Fair enough. Let's say one that doesn't exist. Somebody, if there was a historical figure from way back in the day who.
I've been looking for a nice Aaron Burr check. There's been a bunch of them, just because of his role in. I think a lot of people. Hamilton has gone up 3 or 4x, but I think Burr, you know, there was a crazy check. Like, if it's crazy enough, I might just want to try to get it, just because I think that defines my collection. There was a check for Paul Revere, one of his receipts going from New York to Boston. Jeez. Like, you know, I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy.
If historical figures sign checks, I would want a King Tut check.
Oh, that's pretty cool. No, I mean, I think he signed it on stone, hieroglyphics, and here's a check, and he chiseled it out of a mountain.
I wonder if they had their own signatures through hieroglyphics.
I'm sure they did. I mean, that was the first really advanced language that exists in the world. I'm sure there's something. I don't know if King Tut's ever existed, but I know I have a friend who loves Marie Antoinette. She's very expensive. I just think, listen, you know, for the price of a Luka Doncic silver prism, you can get Martin Luther King. What would you choose?
I say all the time, you can buy 5 Lincoln autographs for what a Zion national treasure.
I think I heard you say. I think I heard you say that, right? And it's like, right? And you'll take 5 Lincolns every time.
Every time.
Yeah. I know.
It's so crazy. How do you feel about the recent boom of sports cards? Do you think it's honest?
I'm happy, because I love talking about memorabilia. I've been covering this space for at least 20 years. I've also gone through downturns. I would just say, I think there's a lot of people who got into it, who listen to you, who watch you, and I would just say, just ask the right questions, right? Be curious. The only thing that the industry is not going to go all the way down or all the way up. There's some things will go down, some things will go up. I think we are in a place where memorabilia and cards are now a real alternative asset class. And I think that's to stay. So people will put their money in there. But I will say there's questions that people aren't asking. So on Doncic in particular, people say, well, I'm going long on Luka Doncic. And then the question is, well, can you go long? If it goes down to 1,100, the base prism, are you okay? Right? Like, the idea that
you asked that.
Huh?
I just said the way you asked that was amazing.
No, and then if you're rich and you've bought 200 of these Doncic's, right? Like, and you're definitely going long. Mm-hmm. You have to know that is a card that 21 to 28-year-olds have bought more than others. And they can't hold on. They don't have the capacity to hold on because of their financial wherewithal that you do. And that affects the market. So I think that people have been pushed into this, oh, player is IPO. The player goes on the court and then it goes up and down depending on, there's 15 factors. And if don't be naive to think it's just that.
Totally. That's super, very wise.
Right?
And also paying attention to the population reports. You know, some of these modern cards, you got 15,000 PSA 10s. Like these are mind-boggling numbers that don't compare to like what some of the, you know, even a LeBron Chrome rookie, which is, there are so many of them out there. Even that's not 3, 4, 5,000. You know,
Yeah,
so
I think population reports are important, especially when you have people who are trying to pump things. As a journalist, I'm skeptical. You know, you have a situation where, they're trying to pump like an Emmett Score rookie, but then the Emmett Pro set is worth half as much and has half the amount of high grade cards in the population. So, I would say, just do your own work. Do your own. Don't be a follower here. Do your own work, and uh, collect, get things that you like. I think a lot of people, like, if you don't think something's beautiful or you don't think something has shock value, like when I sell something of mine, finally, like it's a death, right? Like I've enjoyed it and I'm going to profit on it, but I'm sad as hell, man, because I've loved it. I mean, I've talked about that Babe Ruth check to 700 people. I've shown that Babe Ruth check as if it was a museum, So I think, having something that you love is just really important. I've heard a lot of people just, hey, I bought the Doncic card thinking it was going to go up. And I'm just using that as an example.
right.
Like what you collect. Very important.
Oh, yeah, just loving everything you do. And there's no reason, to put any time or money into something that you don't.
Yes.
Because it's just gonna emotionally and mentally drain you. It's like at least if you buy a Doncic because you love Doncic and you just love supporting the guy and you're a Dallas Mavericks fan or whatever the heck it may be, and that loses all its value. If you're not still psyched about supporting Luka Doncic and you just like the guy,
Yes.
you're
Yes.
gonna be miserable.
Absolutely.
And you're
Collect
also not even
collect things for collect things for fun too. Like I've gotten into a lot of non-sports cards that have been really cool. Um, and some of it's like I have to buy something because I have the buying itch. But
that's
but
dangerous.
if I buy something cool, something cool and different. I love police cards. I love, there's and some of that might not even be resellable, but I love to open packs. I love the idea of opening packs. So if I could find a box of something, I don't care if it's in sync or from 2000, and I could pull some Timberlakes.
Yeah.
Like I just like the act of opening. So if I could buy a box a day for $40 or less, I'll buy it.
I've been seeing you doing a lot of breaks on Instagram and whatnot. If you could break any box as like part of a group break, would you go 86 Fleer basketball? Or you going,
Well, I've done 80 with the guys at Vintage Breaks. I've done 86 Fleer basketball. I mean, let me touch on that too. I think part of breaks as editorial, as being something that people who are not in the breaks want to watch, you have to know about this set. You have to know what cards grade out at, what is normal centering. Like a lot of these guys are like, yeah, I'll buy the box and I'll have a break. And it's like, no, like know about the players. Like don't say, oh, this is Benoit Benjamin. It's Benoit Benjamin, you idiot. And if you don't know the name of the player, you shouldn't be breaking it, right? Like with an 86 break, Walter Davis came up and I said, Michael Jordan's favorite player. And people were like, what? I never heard of the guy. And I'm like, yeah, that was Michael Jordan's favorite player. He played in North Carolina in 1977. That's when Jordan really started paying attention. Jordan played the Olympics. He was amazing, but he didn't know he was the best until he went back to Chapel Hill right before the NBA 84-85 season, and he beat the shit out of Walter Davis. That's the first time Michael Jordan said, oh my God, I'm good. So like, you got to be able to tell those stories.
What you're describing here, I'm just like envisioning this being the future of breaks, where you have real analysts doing it.
Absolutely. You can't just be like, I hate when I go on a break and I see guys going, oh, Tua.
Well, because the problem with that is it shows that it's all about the money. which is where everything turns sour.
There's
But if it's
no,
about the
there's
pack,
not, there's not, there's nothing such as a goal. So when I do my breaks, so when I did my Back to the Future break, okay, the box costs, I don't know, $80, but I'm charging $40 for a pack. Why? Because I spent $450 on cool prizes, right? So if you don't get a good card, you get, you know, a Enchantment Under the Sea ad,
you're
or like, you know, you can get whatever it is. And so that's why, like, I'm about to do a Rocky 4 break, because the 35th anniversary is November 21st, and like, you know, hold on, let me. So, you know, and so I'm gonna give away some incredible stuff, right? And so it's about the break, it's about watching it and having fun, right? So like, there you get the value of your name being called. I'm talking about it, and then you get a chance to get more if you don't get your right card. I feel like there's a lot of disappointment in breaking, because sometimes, huh? The
100%.
breaking suck.
Hard to
The
win.
breaking's not the breaking sucking, right? Like, there's no value there. You're not calling the people's names, or, you know, bringing them in when they have a good card. And then there's nothing after. There's nothing. Like, it's like, no, like, one of the reasons the Action Network covers this with me is because, yes, it is gambling, but unlike gambling, you come away with something even if you don't get your money back.
And
right?
one of the problems too that's worth mentioning is sometimes these people take like weeks and weeks to ship the stuff.
Right. That's also something for me that I feel like you gotta be very, or when you do a break, you gotta make sure the person's very organized, doesn't get things mixed up, has the numbers right. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy to break, to set things aside if you don't have someone with you, the numbering, the addresses, like.
And you got to pack it all, you got to ship it all, you got to pay, like, add in shipping costs to your
Yes, exactly.
charges and
Exactly.
everything.
I'm
But so
getting I'm
what
getting a
box?
text right now to oh my God, that's amazing. Hold on, we got to put out this tweet. Oh my God,
Do
that
your
is
thing.
amazing. Huh?
I said, do your thing.
Do my thing. Hold on. Wow.
What is it?
Adam Thielen wearing Alex Trebek tribute cleats.
Oh, nice.
Custom by Mache 275. So you always got to take care of the people who send it to you.
He's a good dude, by the way. I know him.
Yeah, really good. Hold on. We will miss you, Alex, for 1900. Oh, that's that 19. Maybe I'll add it. Okay. I got, like, what do you like? Let's say 10 more minutes.
Perfect.
Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
You ready?
Yeah, hold on. Okay.
So what box, if you could break any in a group break, which would you choose?
That's a hard one.
Like an old Gouty box? Like, that would be pretty insane.
I mean, honestly, I'd love to learn about which Garbage Pail Kids are more expensive than others. I'd love to do a Garbage Pail Kids Series 1. There's about 35,000 a box right now. Did you know that?
I knew that there was a real market for it because I've seen,
It's 35,000 a box. Yeah. So I'd be like, one of the things that I think breakers also need to do ahead of time, they need to say, now this is what we're looking for. And then once they see it, they got to look at centering, and they say, look, I think this is an 8 or a 9. An 8 last sold for this, a 9 last sold for this. So like, I would love to educate myself on what the most valuable Garbage Pail Kids are, and I'd like to sell slots or packs, or I like the idea of selling slots, like it's $80 a card.
If, like, for a break, because usually it's just one breaker doing it. What if there was a play-by-play and a color for breaking?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, and there's a lot of newspaper guys and a lot of people out, not in the game. And I think, obviously the money is here. So I totally see, to bring along some of these guys and talk about them. Actually, the most fun break I've ever done was Mitchell and Ness hired me for the All-Star game, NBA All-Star game, about 5 years ago. And I opened up packs with Gary Payton. And the rule was that he had to we opened the pack, and he had 5 guys that he could comment on. And he got 5 guys. There was 10 cards in the pack, 5 guys he could pass, and 5 guys he could. And the second card was Sean Kemp, which of course he's like best friends with and played obviously on the Sonics with. And he goes pass, and I go nope, 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 nope. This is ineligible to pass. You must. He goes, okay, ask me a question. I'm like, what's the most you two ever drank before a game and scored at least 20 points? And he said, oh, we probably had 25 shots each. And I'm like, how in the hell did that work out? He goes, well, we were pros at drinking. We knew exactly what we had to do. We'd sweat it out, drink water, sauna. We had everything set so that when it got to 8 o'clock, we were ready to go. I mean, that's the difference between the 80s and the 2000s. Like in the 80s, like these guys were like, they knew how to drink and party and still win, including Jordan. And these guys treat their athletes like their bodies like temples. So it's hilarious to see the back and forth.
You want to know something crazy that I totally didn't remember until now? I was there for that event, and I asked a question during the Q&A.
Oh my God, you were there.
I was there. And I have the video of me asking a question.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
But that was a cool event. And
yeah,
it's always fun to see guys, breaking cards and pulling themselves. It would be interesting to see them break some like really high end stuff. It's crazy. One of my favorite things is to ask players what they think their cards are worth.
Yeah.
And usually their guess, whether
it's very low,
humble or not, is
very low,
a 100th of the answer.
Yes.
It's really crazy. Is there, I know you love to, collect oddball things and just, talk with collectors and things like that. Are there any, random items and things out there that you've had your eye on for years? If you had $1 billion, you would go for?
I would love so the event I wish I was at is the 1973 Belmont, when Secretariat blew away the field by 31.5 lengths. So I've tried as hard as I can to get as much great, unique stuff from 1973 Triple Crown races.
Funny. Nostalgia drives collecting.
Yeah. So I have a betting slip from the Kentucky Derby that year. I have a betting slip from the Preakness that year. I have mint condition programs of all 3, but I'd love to get a horseshoe. Now, a nail that went into the horseshoe from Belmont, the last price is $25,000. A nail that went into the horseshoe. So that's out of my range currently. That's out of my range.
That's crazy. You touched on it earlier, but my last question here for you is, what would your best advice be to young or old, new collectors? They're just figuring out what they like, what they don't like.
Again, here's my rules. 1, you better like it. Just make sure you like what you buy. 2, don't follow just to follow. Don't get too caught up in the money. 3, figure out why something is happening. It's not only because the player is lighting up. Like, it's because Tyler Hero, like, it's not because he's lighting up. It's that everyone's now wrangling to quickly get him. Like, it's not a direct it's that now you got to go find him and that kind of thing. I would say make sure that you understand that eBay is not a completely transparent market. Everyone thinks like, oh, like what's out there is out there. People hold back things. Unfortunately, sometimes the offer price, like sometimes you don't see offer prices. And I know there's sites that, do your own due diligence and don't convince yourself of something that it's not just because you really want to have something. And I guess lastly, I just hope it's not all about the money. But if it is all about the money, again, just make sure your reasonings are sound. Why is something happening? I think people were surprised when Anthony Davis and LeBron James cards didn't like go up. A lot of new guys after the Lakers won the title.
Right.
Well, you have to understand, it was already baked in. It was assumed they were going to win the title. So I would just say have your own theories to why you like something. And certainly don't be scared to look outside of your comfort zone to realize that, yes, you can buy an Abraham Lincoln autograph for less than $6,000.
That is a fantastic way to close this off. Darren, you are the man. I appreciate you. Everybody, I assume you already are, but if you're not yet, follow this man at Darren Rovell across social media. My friend, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, man. Take care.
See you guys.